Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm back here to bring you a video about Walking Dead. As you can see that season two. Um, Basically gonna be doing a review of it, kind of like I did with season one. Um, this was I think 12 or 13 episodes. Um, yeah, I think it was 12 or 13. I can't remember. But anyway, so basically, season two was obviously focused around the farm. When the group basically leaves the CDC, as we remember, because it blew up, and they were on the road. And it's, they meet Herschel, Maggie, Beth, Patricia, Jimmy, and Otis. And I know a lot of people didn't enjoy this season. It was, I mean, I wouldn't say it was boring. I would say that things definitely dragged on, such as, the whole Sophia storyline, and I think as well as, what they were going to do with Randall. Um, I think those two things kind of got blown out of proportion a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy them because I mean I did for to a point, but I definitely think that they just dragged. I mean, I would say more of the whole Sophia thing than what they were going to do with Randall. But season two, I mean, it wasn't a bad season. It was mainly character development, which is what the show needed, because season one was only 6 episodes, as we remember, and there really wasn't too much character development in season one. I mean, I didn't expect there to be. There was only 6 episodes, so they really couldn't try to jam everything in 6 episodes. So I mean, there was a lot of character development, which I very much enjoyed. From Shane, Daryl, Andrea. I would say more of Lori, Carl, Dale, Glenn. Um, just to name a few. So obviously, I think the characters that, or I'll just go off by the characters by each. I think Shane developed a lot more in this season. Obviously, after um, he came back, he was kind of in shock that Rick was alive because he pretty much banged his wife a couple times. So he was trying to not tell Rick because Rick didn't really find out until this season. And obviously, what happened with him and Otis, pretty much uh, wasn't. I think at that point for Shane, that's when he lost all of his humanity. When he, stopped being a cop, he was just a guy that was trying to survive. And I mean, I understand that to a point. That he had to kill him to in order to get all the supplies back to save Carl. Which would make sense because I don't think all of us can honestly sit here and say that if we were in that situation that we wouldn't do it. I mean, with some guy that he didn't really know, and he was kind of, fatter obviously, and he was bigger, and they were both injured, and Shane did what he had to do. I couldn't sit here and say that I would have done it, but I mean, I'm given the circumstances, I might have. Um, so Shane really developed as, more of a person that didn't really want to be in the group. He pretty much disagreed with Rick about everything. Him and Rick were always arguing about things, about Sophia, about what they were gonna do with Randall. So Shane kind of developed into a bigger part of the show, and I know that he was a huge fan favorite. And I mean, I didn't really like him as a person, but I really liked the character that he, portrayed and that he was for all of season two. Um, and also with Andrea. Andrea really became like a really loyal member to the group. Shane kind of took her under his wing. He taught her how to shoot. They would go and scavenge. I remember that episode when she just went off and just nailing headshots everywhere. So she really became like a really good shot and a really good member of the group instead of being just like every other woman that doesn't know how to shoot. So she kind of turned into a badass, which I thought was huge because that was the complete opposite of season one. And I know that she liked Shane. They ended up banging in the car, I think. So she kind of liked Shane more than anyone else, and they were talking about leaving together, which they never did. But she really developed nicely in season two. She turned into a badass, in my opinion, and I think that was good for her character. And obviously, Daryl, who is my favorite character in the show still. He really developed. In season one, he didn't really like the group. He was a loose cannon. He was a hothead. He didn't really care about anything the group stood for. I mean, he just cared about his brother, and he was really pissed off about that in season one when they handcuffed him to the roof. So I mean, for him to really go out of his way to try to find Sophia, I mean, almost being killed twice, when he fell off that hill and the arrow went through his rib cage and almost getting killed by walkers. Him finding clues, him getting shot by Andrea because he looked like a walker and living, just so he could find clues and try to find Sophia was huge. Which really kind of drew away from what he was in season one, because he really cared about finding that, Sophia, and he really wanted to help the group in doing that, and I thought that was huge, for his character. I mean, to me, like that's when I really started to like Daryl, to actually realize that he actually has a soul and he cares about other people and he cares about the group. And he really risked his own life just to find Sophia, which I thought was huge. And he turned into a badass. He's good with the crossbow, with knives, with anything, putting the walker's ears on a rope around his neck. And just being a really good member of the group, which we really didn't see too much of in season one. We didn't really know because he didn't really say that much. And he really developed into a really good member of the group. And I also thought that Lori kind of developed more. Um, she was told Shane to go away. She was really back with Rick, and Rick still didn't really know what happened between him and her and Shane. And then obviously he found out, and he dealt with it. It's not like he told Shane to leave. He wasn't too happy with it, but he told him that that the baby was his when he found out that she was pregnant. Um, and I mean, I thought that, I mean, she was more of a character that kind of tore Shane and Rick apart from each other, because they were best friends, and that's kind of what drove them apart is when Shane slept with Lori and Rick. I mean, it was just never the same. I mean, like you could just tell when Rick found out about that, it just wasn't going to be the same. I mean, they weren't going to have the same friendship they did in season one or before the zombie apocalypse. And then obviously, when Herschel and Maggie and Beth and Patricia and Jimmy were introduced into the show, they kind of developed. Glenn obviously built a very close relationship with Maggie. They were, I guess, falling in love. They really liked each other. And Glenn kind of, you know, turned into a person that was a loyal member of the group, going on runs in towns, getting Lori's stuff, getting everybody else stuff. So they kind of, developed that relationship. Um, and obviously, Herschel, who I really liked in season two, was against them joining him at the farm and staying there. He wanted them to leave after Carl was shot, and then Rick kind of talked him into letting all of them stay. And then obviously, I think that's about it with character development. Not, I mean, I mean, Dale kind of developed more as kind of a guy that kind of kept everybody and not like alive, but kind of kept it like everybody's humanity. To get them to still care, even though like the world has completely gone to shit. And obviously, you know, when Sophia was lost off the highway, and she was never seen again until the barn. Rick really wanted to find her, but I mean, I think it was pretty clear that she was dead. I mean, I don't think we can sit here and say that like a little girl with no weapons, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to kill walkers, would seriously know would seriously like be alive. I mean, and Shane kind of knew that, and I completely agreed with Shane. I mean, I think they should have called off that search. When Daryl kept finding the clues and not her. I mean, it was like kind of giving them a lead, but I mean, I think we all kind of knew that she was dead. And then obviously when she came out of the barn, Shane completely lost it, wanted to kill all the walkers in the barn, and basically went against Rick and Herschel, and then they ended up all killing them, and then she walked out, and Rick had to put her down. So I mean, I didn't expect her to die. I mean, I thought they were gonna find her, but in the back of my mind, I knew she was gonna be pretty much dead. Um, so when they killed all the walkers, and then obviously when Shane killed Otis, shaved his head, all that other shit. That's when he lost his humanity. But him and Rick really, I mean, at that point, when Shane did that, when he put down all the walkers, put everybody at odds to just help him and just kill them. Rick really was upset with him about that and did not agree with him about most things. And then obviously, when they find Randall, I mean, to be honest, I don't think Rick wanted to kill him. I think he wanted to either let him go or let him join the group, but I don't think he could do either because he was with a way larger group, which could have been Woodbury for all we know. But I mean, he said I think it was only 30 people. So I mean, it might have been a different group. I'm not too sure. But Rick didn't really have the courage to kill someone, which I don't blame him because he was still, I mean, had his humanity. He was still trying to, you know, adjust to, the world that they're living in, and I don't think he was ready to make that hard decision. He tried to let him go, and then Shane and him got into a scuffle, and they're almost killed by walkers when they drove Randall out. And then they take him back, and Rick was gonna kill him, and then Carl saw him, and they didn't do it. So I mean, Shane was really pissed about it. He didn't think he had what it took to keep Lori and Carl safe and make the hard decisions that needs to be made to keep them all alive. So basically, I think that covers pretty much. I mean, I didn't really go over in detail with everything, but that's like covers pretty much the whole season. Um, Obviously, I mean, I think that Shane had to be killed off because he led Rick into the woods after he killed Randall and said he was out there. And then obviously, I mean, Shane wanted to kill him because he wanted Lori and Carl for his own, and he knew that the baby was his, which they haven't really touched too much on, but I think it is pretty much his, because I'm pretty sure that they did that in the comic book, but they might go in a different direction. So Shane pretty much leads him out there um, to, kill Rick. And then Rick, puts down his gun, and then he has a knife in the other hand, and he pretty much stabs Shane, which I think had to be done. I mean, it's crazy how he had to kill his own best friend because he tried to kill him because he wanted to be with his wife and he wanted to be like a father to Carl. Which I mean, I thought that Shane would have coped with it. I thought he would have understood that, you know, he can protect Lori and Carl. That Lori's his wife, Carl's his son, and he pretty much said that it was his baby, which Shane clearly wasn't happy with. And then he let him out there to basically kill him. And then Rick had no choice but to kill Shane. And then obviously Carl followed him out there, and then he came back up as a zombie, and then Carl shot him. Then obviously that led the whole herd of zombies towards the farm. But as far as season two, it was all character development, which, I mean, I get that, people were getting boring with it because there wasn't nonstop action with zombies and stuff, but they like needed to do this to build their characters for the next season so we could all get to know them so they can develop more for season three. So obviously, I mean, in my opinion, the season finale of season two was the best episode of that season, hands down. When Rick and Carl have to go in the barn, they basically get all the walkers in there, set the barn on fire. Herschel basically says that I will die here. We're going to kill all these walkers, and then everybody decides that they're just going to go out in an all-out war against the walkers, in their cars and on Daryl's bike and stuff. And then obviously, I forgot to mention Dale dying, which was a hard loss. And Otis obviously was killed. Patricia died. Jimmy died. But I mean, I think Dale was probably the hardest one. I didn't really want to see Dale die because he kind of kept everybody together, kind of how Herschel is doing now in season three. He kept everybody in check, told everybody to, just stay positive, keep your humanity, because when they were deciding to kill Randall or not, I mean, Dale was completely against it, and he was just trying to, keep everybody together, and he pretty much told Daryl that the group was broken. But in the season finale, it was just, I mean, Herschel with the shotgun, I mean, Rick, shooting at, headshots, people driving in cars, shooting everybody. And then, in that final scene, when you just see that barn just burn down, I mean, like, that's when you know that everything they had there is gone. I mean, walkers are overhurting. They pretty much decide they have to leave the farm. Um, I thought Herschel was going to die, to be honest. I was kind of shocked that he lived, because I thought he was going to die. I thought he was going to run out of bullets, but then Rick saved him. So obviously that's when they all leave the farm, and they all pretty much go back to the highway of where they all first stopped. That whole package they left for Sophia. and they all make it back. Besides Andrea, she got cut off from the group, and she ran off, and that's when she met Michonne. Michonne saved her. And then the group decides that they have to just get get off the highway, go towards something, find somewhere to stay, hunker down. And that's when Rick really takes control of his leadership of the group. He pretty much tells them that the virus is in all of them and they all carry it, which pretty much means if they die and if they get shot and die, they turn into a walker. So I mean, like either way, they're kind of screwed. I mean, they just have to stay alive, I guess, to avoid being a walker. Um, then Rick pretty much tells them that it's not a democracy anymore. That he's making the decisions and no one else is, and he pretty much told them that they can leave if they want to. And of course, no one left because I mean, they trust Rick a lot. And obviously, Lori was really upset when Rick killed Shane. I mean, that really affected the relationship because she obviously still had feelings for Shane, and she didn't want Rick to kill Shane. But I mean, she kind of put them at odds. I mean, it's not like anything was going to be the same when Rick found out that uh, Shane pretty much, had sex with her. So obviously she wasn't happy about that, and that affected their whole relationship into season three. It just wasn't the same. I mean, they didn't seem like they were the same people after that. So, Rick did what he had to do. He made the hard decision to do it, and I think it was the right one. And then obviously, that's pretty much the end of season two. They obviously go and take over the prison for season three. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I covered everything, pretty much. And I mean, I didn't go into detail. It's just pretty much a summary of season two. It wasn't boring. It was more character development and trying to develop different various characters, but I do think some things dragged in season two that weren't needed. But if I had to give it, a star rating, I would give it like a 7 out of 10, I would say. It was a good season. It wasn't great. It was just character development, which I know a lot of people were not happy with season two. They thought it could have been better, but I thought it was okay. But let me know what you guys think um, about season two. So leave comments below, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and that's it. I'm out.